people. So I started thinking about how to deal with this, and I kept coming back to the fact that the people I wanted to target all had something in common. Most of the people I wanted to reach were going to the same internet sites. Let's go back to a fact that I mentioned earlier. More than 70% of U.S. real estate searches happen on 3 internet sites, and those are Zillow, Trulia, and realtor.com. And according to Zillow, 50% of their visitors are planning on buying or selling a home in the next 12 months. So those sites are just a treasure trove of incredibly valuable real estate leads. It would be an absolute goldmine if I could target ads at their visitors. But unfortunately, all that data is locked away and tightly controlled by Zillow, which also owns Trulia, by the way, and News Corp, which owns realtor.com. Now, those sites have their own lead programs, and the best known one is Zillow Premier Agent. In fact, I believe that Zillow is the largest real estate lead vendor in the United States today. The problem with Zillow Premier Agent is that it's really expensive, and you're getting a tiny, tiny fraction of the people that actually search Zillow. For those of you that don't know how Zillow works, let me explain the model. With a paid Premier Agent account, they'll show you exclusively as the listing agent on your own listings. And you'll notice that the image here on the left shows a Premier Agent because they're the only agent shown. In the image on the right, the listing agent has not chosen to pay for Zillow's program, so they are showing 3 Premier Agents underneath the listing agent's name. So basically, as a Premier Agent, you get exclusivity on your own listings. You also have an opportunity to get inquiries on other listings from agents that haven't signed up for Zillow. Typically, you'll be listed as one of 4 choices, including the listing agent. So all in all, your odds of getting a lead aren't fantastic. A potential buyer has to first not already be working with an agent, and second, be interested enough in a specific property to hit the contact agent button. And if those 2 conditions are met, you have a 1 in 4 shot at being selected, assuming that your profile has enough positive reviews and you have a decent number of transactions associated with your profile. And that's if you show up at all. Zillow's pricing is based on how often you want to appear in the search results or the number of impressions. And the pricing model is based on geographic area. It can be really expensive in some places. For an example, in Manhattan, you'll pay about $1,500 a month for 7% of the available impressions, or up to $7,700 a month if you want 40% of the available impressions. Now, granted, Manhattan is one of the most expensive markets in the country, so one transaction would probably fund a year of Zillow. And I'm not saying that Zillow doesn't work. It can work out great if you do it right. But like everything these days, the agents with the most good reviews are the ones that are going to end up with a business. And no matter what, you're paying a lot of money for a very small fraction of the searches that actually happen on Zillow. Given that Zillow and the other sites were generating such huge amounts of valuable real estate search traffic, my objective was to tap into that somehow. And luckily, I've got some really smart people on my team. A few months before all of this, we'd been working on another project in a completely different industry, and we'd actually developed a way to tag and track visitors on certain third-party sites using ad networks. And I started thinking, well, maybe I could use the same approach, with real estate search portals. So I asked these guys to come up with a way to first adapt the technology we were using for this other project for real estate search, and second, find a way to pixel people using Zillow, Trulia, and realtor.com, and I'll explain what a pixel is in a second. And third, develop a way to target these people that we pixel by geographic area and remarket to them on Facebook. These guys took our technology and figured out a way to use it for real estate in less than 2 months. They developed a method to tag and track visitors to Zillow, Trulia, and realtor.com in any city we wanted, and then go retarget them with ads on Facebook and Instagram. So let me repeat that. We developed a method to tag 70% of the people that are searching for property on the internet, ready to buy in the next 12 months, and we can serve ads directly to them on the biggest social media platforms on the internet. If you don't quite understand the significance of that yet, let me go back to something I mentioned earlier. Zillow charges its Premier Agents in Manhattan $7,700 a month, which is about $92,000 a year, just to show their name next to 40% of the search results that come up. We can tag or collect data on 70% of all the people that search for properties in Manhattan, including 100% of the people searching on Zillow. And I'm not just showing a name next to a listing. We can go back and advertise to these people whenever and wherever we want. Are you starting to see how valuable this is? Every time I make this claim, people just flat out don't believe me until I get into the details. So I'm going to explain how this works in the simplest terms that I can. We're doing something that we call interceptive retargeting, which is a very powerful adaptation of standard retargeting. Now, if you're not familiar with retargeting or remarketing, here's the basic concept. Let's say you go look at a pair of shoes on Amazon and then you start seeing an ad for that exact same pair of shoes everywhere you go on the internet. So you go to CNN and there's an ad for those shoes, and you go to Facebook and there's another ad for those shoes. I'm sure you've all experienced this. They do that by setting a pixel every time you view a piece of content or a product. A pixel is just a small piece of code, kind of like a browser cookie. And once the pixel is set, they can track you across ad networks like Google or within Facebook and serve ads for the same product or something else they think you might be interested in. The main thing about retargeting, though, is you need to have traffic coming to a website that you control in order to set a pixel. For instance, Amazon couldn't set pixels on Walmart.com visitors and vice versa. But I mentioned earlier that I was working with some programmers, and these are, as I mentioned, very, very smart guys. They figured out a way to pass pixel codes through online advertisements. And that's what I referred to as interceptive retargeting. The diagram on the page shows you how we do it. We place ads on the ad networks. Those ads are published by Zillow, Trulia, and realtor.com. Those ads contain code, and we fire that code through a tag manager container and build retargeting lists from it. We then take that retargeting list that we built and serve ads on Facebook and Instagram. The only reason that this works is because all three of these sites, Zillow, Trulia, and realtor.com, have advertisements on their web pages, and you've probably never noticed this before, but next time you're at one of those three sites, take a look, and there are ads all over the page. And I've circled a few here just to point them out. But basically, since there are ads being served by the ad networks, we can actually drop our pixels through those ads and tag anybody that's going to those pages. Just to put all of this in perspective, let's do a little bit of math. And I know people don't like math, but this is fun math, I promise. So let's say your target market is a town of about 100,000 people, and realistically we should be able to pixel about 15,000 new real estate searchers per month in a town of that size. And let's also say you're advertising to that audience of 15,000 on Facebook, and your ads are getting a 2.5% click-through rate. Now, that's 375 clicks a month. I can usually get click-throughs much higher than that. Between 3 and 4% is pretty typical, but we'll stay on the low end for this estimate. So out of the 375 people that were interested enough to click on your ad, you should be able to get anywhere from 15 to 25% conversion rate of people that will go ahead and download your lead magnet. And that's only if it's a high quality piece, kind of like the ones that I showed earlier. Just to be conservative, let's say you only get 15% of the people that download your lead magnet. So that's 56 leads per month. Now, let's say you're only able to turn 5% of those leads into listings or sales. And remember, these targets are people that are actively searching for real estate and are actively interested in real estate purchasing topics since they downloaded your lead magnet. 5% of 56 is 2.8. And even though it's closer to 3, let's round down to 2 just to be super conservative. So you're getting 2 listings or buyers per month from these leads. Now, the median home price in the U.S. right now is $234,900, and let's say you get a 2.5% commission on that on average. So each lead would net you $5,872.50, or a total of $11,745 per month. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not guaranteeing any kind of results. I'm just sharing what I think are very conservative numbers, and I just wanted to kind of illustrate what the power of something like this would be if you were using it on a daily basis. After working on all this development of interceptive retargeting technology, I decided that instead of just using it for my own marketing agency, I would offer it as a service to real estate professionals. So we're now offering a service that we call Perpetual Pipeline, and it truly is a non-stop perpetual source of good leads. I've explained most